Right, Jake, what's tip number 4, please?
Right, tip number 4 is to modify your lessons as you go.
Nice. Tell us more.
Right, so I spend a lot of time planning lessons. I'm only in my 3rd year. This is my RQT year, whatever it's called now. Probably spend too long planning, but yeah. So I like to plan, but also sometimes part of planning is just to plan for there to be something that you're going to do live in the lesson. And I'm sure we all do this, although maybe less so now that like people have things like PowerPoints, a smart notebook. Like some people do just kind of go through the PowerPoint the whole lesson. That's it. Especially when like your department or your academy chain is making these things and you don't really know what the content is, or But yeah, I think it's really important that you do modify it as you go, both in response to what the students are doing, and just generally because it's enjoyable, because it's a fun thing to do. But yeah, definitely down to checking for understanding. If you realise that you thought all the kids would know instantly how to do tree diagrams and you notice that they can't, then you've got to go into it. Then you can't just go on to the next slide.
Yeah, this is a big one. And again, I wish I was as aware of this at my stage, when I was at your stage of my teaching career as you are, Jake, because this is the kind of the bane or the kind of weakness of many novice teachers is whatever they've planned, that's what's going to be delivered no matter what. So just a couple of questions on this. Is your planning, is it done on a kind of per lesson basis, or have you planned like 3 or 4 lessons in advance? How do you plan what you're going to teach generally?
So I've changed a lot over the last 3 years since I started teaching. At one point it was topic based. Right now it is 5 a.m. in the morning of the lesson. I do all my planning before school. So I don't know if that's necessarily sustainable, but I time box it at the moment so that I don't spend too long doing it in the evening. Almost all my planning is done in sort of a 2-3 hour time window in the morning, and there might be a little bit of thinking outside of that, but I'm generally a morning person. That's a good time for me to do my planning.
Got it. Would it be, you say it used to be topic based, but now is it kind of per lesson? So would you, 5 a.m, you're looking at your kind of 4 or 5 lessons for the day, and then planning just those lessons, not the kind of what's going to happen in the 3 or 4 lessons afterwards. Would that be right?
Yes, I'm just planning on the day based on the previous lesson. It very much flows on from that previous lesson. Maybe we just started a worksheet. Well, we're going to start the next lesson continuing with the same worksheet. But yeah, I try and put this little, at least a couple of slides in every PowerPoint, which are either blank or have like tiny text at the bottom just to prompt me on what to do on that one. So for example, we might have been doing some probability or about to start probability, and I'm going to write some words down to remind me of the kind of thing I'm going to be doing during the lesson. Make it tiny so that like, if the kids want to read it, they can, but really it's just there to prompt me. And then I'm going to be using a physical whiteboard, or I'm going to be using the tablet at the back of the room or something to actually kind of demonstrate something in the lesson based on the kind of things that the students are saying as they put their hands up. So it's a great way to do some brainstorming again. You get the kids to put their hands up, you're writing things down, but you can do that on a tablet at the back of the room, or you can do it on your whiteboards. Or one thing that I like to do, because I've got PowerPoint open in edit mode, is I will actually start like putting a new text box on the page and typing in. So I'm going to be standing at the front of the room, like with my keyboard at the ready, because it's quicker for me to type on my keyboard. And as the students throw words at me or sentences, I'm just going to start typing those in and make them appear up on the screen for them.
That's nice. Because I was going to ask what if you need to change your lesson mid-flow. Again, it can be a bit fiddly. I've experienced this myself. I've planned a lesson on a PowerPoint. Yeah. I've done a check for understanding. It's clear the understanding isn't there, so I've got to now do something about it. So then I have to. I'm a bit lost actually. Sometimes the worst thing to do is I'll try and create a new blank slide, but I have to come out my PowerPoint presentation to do this, create a new blank slide. Then exactly as you say, I'm trying to find that little flipping thing in the bottom left-hand corner of PowerPoint to get my pen tool up and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because what I'd love to do is essentially kind of turn off the kind of projector or whatever, but so the projector sometimes takes about 20 minutes to warm back up again, so that's not happening.
It does.
So what are you doing kind of tech-wise? If you suddenly realise that you can't go ahead onto the next slide of your presentation, you need to do something else. Where are you doing that something else, if that makes sense?
So ideally I'm doing it on a tablet at the back of the room if Wi-Fi was working, but at the moment I'm usually doing it on a physical whiteboard. sometimes, so if I want to do some quick fire questions, I will do it with the interactive whiteboard at the front of the room in my software using the annotating feature, because it is so quick and easy to change between colors. It's so quick and easy to blank out the slide, to undo something. And so, for example, one lesson I've done, or I've done this lesson several times, is with parallel lines. So I will very quickly, with my finger on the whiteboard, I will just draw two lines, then a transversal across them, and I will highlight one of the angles, and I will say, okay, what angle is this? Maybe if I've actually bothered to give out the mini whiteboards, they'll do that on mini whiteboards. Otherwise, I'll get them to put their hands up, or I'll ask students at random to tell me what the angle is going to be. And as soon as they've done that question, I then just flick 2 fingers up to wipe the board, and I start doing another question.
Yes.
So it's I think with some things like PowerPoint, it just takes too long to do things like switch between colors. It takes too long to blank out the slide, that you end up not doing it that way. But I've really designed this software to make things all the things that I actually want to do live really, really quick. So switching between 5 different colors, 2 highlighters, erasing, wiping the whole board. I've tried to make these things so incredibly quick that it's really easy to do things live.
It's exciting stuff. Again, I've been messing around with this, Jake, but I feel like I'm only kind of just scratching the surface of some of the things that your site can do. So that's fantastic.
Hi, so this time I'm going to be showing you some of the features of mathsuniverse.com/whiteboard that are going to enable you to modify your lessons as you go. Now, if you haven't yet seen the video I made for tip 2, which is about sharing PowerPoint and cropping down, please go and have a look at that video first. So the other thing I just want to make you aware of is if you go to mathsuniverse.com/whiteboard and you scroll down the page here, there's some information about how to control PowerPoint within any app. So this is really useful if you start sharing your PowerPoint screen or some other screen. This is a really good way that you can kind of use the page up and down buttons and use a wireless remote such as this one here to go between different things. This is something that I use all the time, but you do need to download this script and use auto hotkey on your computer, but instructions are here. Okay, so we're going to go into a room and we're just going to share the PowerPoint window as explained in the tip 2 video, and I've already got that pre-cropped because it remembers the crop from last time. And here we're looking at how we can modify our lessons as we go. So I'm just going to start by jumping between slides a bit. Okay, so we can jump between slides as normal as we would if we were in slideshow mode. But another feature that we've got here is we can freeze. So I've got this little freeze button down in the bottom right corner here, and I can also press F on my keyboard to toggle between that. Now, if we freeze, we can go and look at a different slide on our PowerPoint, and of course we can go and start editing that slide in some way. Let's add some text into this slide, but you can see it's frozen on the other slide still. Now let's say I finished doing that, I can go back to the slide I was on, I can unfreeze it, and the kids have no idea what just happened. Or what I could do is I could freeze it on that slide, go to a completely different slide, and then I could go and unfreeze it. And of course the kids are going to be jumped straight into that slide that I have unfrozen on. So that's how I can use that freeze unfreeze feature, which is going to be part of helping me modify my lesson as I go. Often what I'll do is I'll have a slide which is almost blank, such as this one here. And on that slide, I'll just have a little bit of text at the top or the bottom just to remind me the general plan when I get to that slide in the lesson. So this slide is reminding me I want to do some sort of a recap about parallel lines. So when I get to this slide, maybe with a tablet at the back of the room, or maybe on the screen at the front of the room, I can just start drawing some things. So I'm going to draw a couple of lines and a line that goes through them. And I'm going to go and say, right, okay, I've got this angle over here. If I know what this angle is, and this angle is, let's say, 70 degrees, and I want the kids to tell me what the angle is over there. So I like to do these things quite ad hoc during the lesson, nice and quickly. And the fact that I can quickly change between colors, the quick that I can quickly clear the screen makes this super useful. So you can see it's really quick and easy to do things and clear it without having to go into a menu in PowerPoint all the time. And the other thing in PowerPoint, in slideshow mode, you're stuck with just that one color, while here it's super easy to jump between different colors and to jump between highlighters, either using the on-screen menu, using the gestures which you learn, or using the menu which shows you those gestures as well. So super, super quick and easy to kind of do something very quickly during a lesson ad hoc. There are some things that you just can't do in slideshow mode. So one thing that I might want to do in a lesson is start off with something blank or very nearly blank, and I might ask the kids a question. So for example, I might ask them, what comes to mind when we think about algebra? And I'm going to be up at the board with my keyboard, and we're going to start putting down some of the ideas that they tell me. So solving, substitution, stuff to do with letters. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just editing that slide as I go, but kids can see that instantly without having to wait a little bit of time for it to refresh. So I'll often do this in a lesson where I'm asking them questions and I'm just kind of brainstorming with the class and putting that up on the board. Again, because I'm in edit mode, I've got all the other tools available to me as well, so I can go and quickly put a square in, for example, or a triangle, or whatever else it might be that I want to do during a lesson there. I can also add a new slide nice and quickly. So I'm going to throw in a new slide. Let's say, I want a slide between this one and this one in the lesson. I can just throw in that new slide. All of these things are much simpler when we're using it in this mode where we're sharing a cropped version of that screen rather than when we're in presentation mode. Now, anything I change in the PowerPoint file itself will be saved, but if I'm doing annotations on the whiteboard screen, that doesn't get saved to the PowerPoint. But if I do want to save it, of course, I can go and I can use the draw tools within PowerPoint. And those won't be cleared using my keyboard gestures. They're going to be separate from the gestures that I make on the whiteboard. Some people don't like the size of the line, so we can easily make the line a different size. We've also got an eraser tool as well, that one that looks like a sponge on the left-hand side. Occasionally, you might want to do something like put a protractor up to the board, in which case you've got a lock button on the right-hand side. That's going to lock it from any kind of input with your finger. So if you're finding that for some reason your finger's not working, maybe you've accidentally put that lock button on. The idea there is that you can put something like up to the board without it actually doing a stroke on the board at all. End of the lesson, often what I will do, maybe the kids are being a little bit too noisy or something, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw in a blank slide, start a new text block, and I'll tell the kids what I'm waiting for without saying anything. So I'll say waiting for okay, and you'll see that a couple of kids will see that. I'm not having to waste my voice. I've just thrown it up on the board nice and quickly. So there are some of the ways that I edit my lessons as I go using mathsuniverse.com/whiteboard.